Being a snowbird, it's everyone's dream, or at least a lot of people. They dream of traveling with the weather. And why wouldn't you? Weather is a big part of quality of life. When it's warm outside, but not too warm, that's enjoyable. When you can avoid winters, when you can avoid extreme hot weather, when you can try, and you can't do it perfectly because every area and every point of travel has some weather disturbances that you cannot predict. But you can try on average to avoid some of the major weather problems and be what they call a snowbird, which in America is to travel to the southern states in the winter and then in the summer travel back up to the northern states so that you eliminate the harshest times of years in the geographical locations of America. And I thought about that throughout my journey because when I started to become an adult and I started to really enjoy being outdoors and just something as simple as going for a walk, and I remember walking in the brutal winters of New Jersey, and I said, man, wouldn't it be great if you could go outside for a walk and it kind of always be warm? And I always had a vision of palm trees. I always loved the ocean. And, of course, Florida, for those, in America or throughout the world, Florida is known as one of these places that in the winter, it's so warm. It's got a Caribbean vibe. And it's just a great place to be in the winter. In the summer, however, it's too hot for some people, too humid. Of course, as you get to the end of summer, it's hurricane season. And so many people decide, you know what? I'm going to be a snowbird. Okay, I'm not going to commit totally to Florida. And I may own 2 properties or I may rent. That's up to your personal discretion. But you're going to travel with the seasons. You're not going to stay in one part of the country the entire 12 months because you want to kind of travel with the weather patterns. And while for many this may work, for me, my major problem with being a snowbird is you are not just following good weather. You are following the crowds, the masses. And for me, I get heavy anxiety, higher stress, and less quality of life the more people that are surround me, the more traffic, the more congestion. Just going to the store is a stress point. And in my experience, in the northern states and along the beach specifically, any relatively decent area by the beach in the northern states is going to be crowded. Because there's only so much land and there's a lot of people. And everyone knows it's summer and everyone's trying to do the same thing. When everyone's going in the same direction, crowds, congestion, stress. And through my experience now, being in Florida for several summers, it does get hot. I don't mind the heat, but it really doesn't get bad until you get into August as far as like heavy humidity and the afternoon rain showers, which can last anywhere from 10 minutes to an hour or so. They come down as a heavy downpour, but then they pass. Most hurricanes don't take place until mid-August till mid-October. That's like 80% of the hurricane pocket of window where you're at risk, higher risk. I'll often make a note, though, Hurricane Sandy hit New Jersey when I lived in New Jersey on Halloween. So don't think you're going to be so smart that you're going to out-trick Mother Nature. There's no exact science to life, but there is science. There is data, and you would be wise to study it and to make decisions. And for me, this is for me, from my personality, I don't like crowds, but I love beaches. I love warm weather. And for me, I want to be in Florida 90% of the year because actually the summertime in Florida is the best time because there's very little crowds and it's just very enjoyable. Again, once and if you're going to be in air conditioning, what does it matter? You go outside, you walk, you sweat, you go to the beach, you come back in air conditioning. So to me, that's fine. And I've done a couple of years without air conditioning. But you can go in Starbucks, get air conditioning, no crowds. You can go in a gym, get air conditioning, no crowds. A restaurant, air conditioning, no crowds. Summer, actually, a lot of people vacation in Florida in summer because that's when their kids have off of school. But I would say, look, I'm a what they call, well, I'm a Floridian. And I would say for me, my way going forward, unless something changes, you always be open to change, but is I found what pattern works for me is 90% of the year in Florida. From November to September, I want to be in Florida. And in September and October, the fall weather is the best weather up north. Crowds are dispersed, kids are back to school, weather is moderate, it's magical. Okay. So if there's 12 months in a year, 10 months out of 12 months is 90%. So I will go up north in September and October and leave some flexibility depending how November is. But once you get to the middle of November and then it starts to get unenjoyable outside sometimes. So definitely September and October, I like to be in the Northeast. I definitely go see my mom every year. And if my mom need me, I'll go now. Okay. So, but I want to tell you that everyone needs their space. And when you go visit family for 6 months, and when there's a lot of crowds, you're not going to enjoy being a snowbird. You're going to overstay your welcome, and you're not going to have the temperament to deal with all the aggravation. Everyone is doing the same thing. So again, this doesn't work for everyone, and again, I leave my mind open to change, but this is kind of how I look at snowbirding. It's, and you're not going to, Pacific Northwest, same thing. It's crowded in the summer. Everyone goes there from the West Coast. Everyone goes to the Chicago's, to the Canada, right? So people travel north. Everyone. Okay, so it's like, to me, I want to kind of just do my thing. And again, Florida to me is very pleasant all the way to August. Okay, August it starts to get very humid. It's humid no matter what, so you gotta like humidity. But August to September, those are tough months. But again, if you got air conditioning and you kind of move around a little bit, you'll be fine with that. But I hope this video helps from my experience. Now, a few years, 5 years living full-time on the road, 7 years kind of just playing with this idea and traveling and going on vacations. And this is kind of what my experience and my perspective from my situation tells me that I'm sharing with you, that I hope will help you in some way. If you have this dream to be a snowbird, that's part of the decision-making process. Of course, you have to look at what I touched on very early in the video is, how are you going to stay in the South in the winter and the North in the summer? Are you going to own 2 properties? Those are 2 property taxes, utility bills, maintenance, etc. that you have to hold and pay throughout the year, and you only use the property 50% of the year. I'm looking to use the property 90% of the year. So the other fact is, if you rents are high during peak season. Rents in Florida for the winter months, December through April, are very high because that's hot peak of tourism season. And then you take the opposite, rents in the coastal areas up north from June to August are very high because that's the peak tourism season. That's when they have a lot of demand and therefore a lot of cost. And so if you're going to rent, you're going to pay the highest rent of the year. If you're going to own property, you're going to pay for property you're only using 50% of the year. If you are going to RV, good luck trying to find a campground in a good area without it being just as expensive as high rent in the South in the winter, nice areas, and in the fall, in the summer in the North. Almost impossible. So, that's what I mean. It's almost like, you think you're doing this wise thing being a snowbird, but you're actually getting screwed. You're traveling at the most congested parts of the year. You're paying the highest price. You're going to be aggravated with a low quality of life, and you're going to overstay your welcome. After a month, 2 months of being around the same people, you get on each other's nerves, unless you live with them. And if you live with them, and you're traveling half the part of the year, you got to think about how you do it. So there's ways to do it, but I hope this video helped you in some way. If it did, please click that thumbs up, share the video, leave a comment below. You want to support the channel because you truly appreciate it. Click that blue join button. I thank you for everything. Peace.